presented by Specs in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm David Nuno. Reed Neal making his debut on the show, right? Like, I mean, you've been here for a few days, but you actually weren't on TexAgs Live. This is your first time on the Rewind.
This is my first time on the Rewind.
You learning?
I am. I'm learning. Yes, sir.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the show today? You can be honest about OB. I understand you have a man crush. It's cool.
I do have a. Well, he always gives me these funny looks. Like while he's filming, nobody really knows it, but I'm off to the side, and he's just kind of like he stares at me. So it really, kind of strikes me. When
I don't think he can see you. You can't see that
bad
far.
eyes.
Yeah, it's just that's what I think it is. OB was great as always. We had a lot of A&M Kentucky talk for good reason, right? Like there's a big game going on tonight. We had Justin Lanham talking about it. We had a Kentucky insider talking about it, Jack Pilgrim from KSR. And then we had to talk a little national championship game on Monday. Bobby Carpenter played for Ohio State. He's on Sirius XM. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. Had a lot of topics to get into. We got his perspective of that. That and more, it is the Rewind. They beat them last year in the SEC tournament. That I know.
And they beat them here, too.
And they beat them here. That's exactly right. But big game because it's weird. Like when you talk about Kentucky, I think the Coach Cal version of Kentucky is in the back of your mind. Mm-hmm. Maybe even Rick Pitino version of Kentucky, Tubby Smith. Like you think about these amazing 5-star one-and-dones, and this particular brand of Kentucky basketball isn't necessarily built that way.
Well, I haven't seen a lot of them. I did see some of their game against Florida, and they had a guy that was doing his impression of Godine from Oklahoma, who was just nailing threes. But I don't think they rely on the three-point shot necessarily.
But they can hit the three-point shot.
Especially that guy. That guy, his name's Brea. Yeah. Kobe Brea. And he's shooting like 48%.
But here's something you can take to the bank, OB.
Okay.
Somebody's going to hit a lot of threes on Kentucky.
It seems that way.
Because I feel like the way, and again, this is part of A&M's recipe, right? Not that they want to give up threes. I'm not saying that. But they are going to double team you to death. That if you make the right pass, somebody should be open. Hopefully not the best three-point shooter on the team. And sometimes it's not even the third best scorer on the team. It's just a rando, who's not a rando, but who can hit threes. Goodine was what? I think he had 12 points in the last few games combined.
Yeah. Right. He was averaging just under 6 points.
Yeah.
So what
2013.
was it?
2013.
So that is the last time they won.
January 12th.
That's surprising.
That's called show prep, ladies
because actually A&M has had over the since they've been in the SEC, I'd say reasonable success against Kentucky. Did they beat them in? So they beat them in Nashville last year.
We went to Lexington in 2018 and we lost by 1.
Okay.
And then beat them in College Station in 20.
A couple years ago they went and lost to.
I mean, I
we
know
beat them last year here and in Tennessee.
We beat them a couple times here.
Yeah.
I thought they'd gotten. Maybe I was thinking of that close game that she was referring to. So, that was the Elson Turner 41-point game. So maybe A&M needs somebody to score 41 points tonight.
How would you describe the way Kentucky gets into their sets and the way they run their offense?
It's a read and react. It's a zoom action heavy. We had Cody Figure on my show this summer. Is that hey, how many plays would you say you call a game? And he's like, it's impossible to even say because they have the foundation set and there's tree branches and branches off of those branches that kind of like, hey, if this happens, then this happens. And then if that happens, then that happens. So it's very fun to see because the team doesn't even know what's coming next. Let alone what the defense is going to do. So it's a very, very tough, tall task to defend. And it leads to some chaos at times. It leads to some bad shots when things break down and maybe they're not getting into those clean shots the way they're looking for. You kind of get some chaos. Okay, well, I guess I gotta, take this over myself and force a contested shot or, try to finish through contact at the rim or whatever. So when we've seen this team play at its worst at Clemson, Ohio State, at Georgia, that's usually what happens. If you can get up physicality has been a really big talking point with this group. If you can play physically with them, kind of get them off of their, what has the natural organic sets that they get very comfortable in, you can get them pretty uncomfortable, and that uncomfort leads to bad shots and inefficiencies. So it's very fun to watch, but there are downsides to it.
So Andrew Carr, I know, was questionable for the Mississippi State game. He ended up playing. I believe he is still questionable. He's a very good rebounder. I think almost 6 a game. What is his status, and what does having him back mean for this game plan?
He was upgraded last night to probable. Mark Pope on his Colin radio show last night said, he's going to be a game time decision when that final availability report comes out shortly before tip off. It's going to say game time decision. He expects him to play. He's dealing with a kind of a nagging back issue, kind of back spasms that flare up from time to time. You watch the Mississippi State game. I was down in Starkville, and he kind of has these I got to get out of the game right this second moments where you can tell it's really, really bothering him. He played through it, and he played exceptionally well down in Starkville. One of his better games, coming off a pretty rough performance down in Athens at the Georgia game. So that's definitely something to monitor, especially with offensive rebounding. You just battle of the glass being such a big talking point with this matchup. Texas A&M being as talented as they are, with the physicality, with the kind of cleanup opportunities, need to have Andrew Carr at his absolute best. He's definitely kind of a straw that stirs the drink for Kentucky, if you will.
It's just going to have to, until Wade comes back, it's just going to have to be kind of get it done by committee. And you see a team like Kentucky does that. They have 5 guys that, kind of average over double digits and kind of get it done each night by committee. And while Wade's out, unfortunately, I think that's going to have to be it. Obviously, you're going to probably have some of those outlier games like Oklahoma where Phelps goes off, but I don't think you can count on that to happen every night. And so I think while Wade is out, I think, like I said, you're just going to have guys that are stepping up, just kind of one guy gives you 10, another guy gives you 11. Maybe you do have somebody that goes off for 20, 25, but I think it's just got to be a team effort whenever you talk about scoring.
What I worry about in this game against Kentucky, Justin, is the fact that they score 90 points a game, right? And Alabama obviously can put up those points, and they dictated the offensive tempo. Different strategy, different kind of athletic ability there on Alabama. How does A&M control the tempo against a team that can score as much as Kentucky can?
Yeah, I think you've got to continue to put pressure on the offensive glass. I think the three-quarter court press, obviously being able to score and set up your three-quarter court press defense is big. If you're not able to score, that's whenever you see teams get transition buckets or if you turn the ball over. So I think there's a lot of different things that you can do, but obviously, if you read on the ball, you play good defense, and you don't turn the ball over at a high rate, you're going to be in any game. And so, to me, they've got to limit turnovers. They've got to continue to crash the glass, put the pressure on them to rebound and not get out in transition, and then score the ball so that they can set up that three-quarter court press. If you're not able to do those 3 things against a team that averages 90 points a game, you're definitely going to struggle. So, to me, just getting back to the glass is number 1. Obviously, the defensive effort, number 2, and then obviously, like I said, number 3 as well, just not turning the ball over.
Talking about Justin Lanham here on TexAgs Live. Justin, the free throw shooting, obviously an issue this last game. And it's been an issue for this team on and off the last couple seasons. How much are you reading into that game, this season overall? What is your take on it?
Yeah, it's definitely concerning. I think, again, I heard somebody say this, but it's kind of like your tennis players, your golfers, how much that's just a mental game. Basketball is a lot of mental, but obviously there's a lot of physical to it as well. But the mental part when it comes to basketball is the free throw shooting. That, so much of it is if you're struggling, there's a trend a lot of the times that you're going to continue to struggle.
Bobby, I mean this with respect. Not that I try to respect Texas, but I thought Ohio State was going to run away with that game. And maybe run away is too much, but I thought they'd win by double digits, which they ended up doing. But that game certainly felt a lot closer than the score. Were you surprised by that?
I think Texas is, I think they're with Ohio State, probably the most talented team in the country. I don't know if they've played to that level, because we're talking about, what we see with Ohio State. I think Texas, they show spurts and throughout games where they look really good, and then there's times where they look a little bit rougher. And so that was obviously disappointing if you're a Texas fan. I think some of that changed. They put together, they got the turnover on downs, they go down and score. They get another stop, they're going to score again. Use the Travion Henderson personal foul. I think that really changed the dynamic of the game. Now, with that, Texas goes down and scores before half. Ohio State was able to answer, and Trey kind of makes up, for his, his unfortunate penalty. But they were never able, starting the second half. You go down and have a great drive going, and Will Howard throws an interception. It's a great play. And, it's made. And so, they were just never able to get that second score, I think, where you could really start to lean on people. And that's a credit to Texas. They stepped up and made plays. And, I think that Ohio State played so well for 2 weeks. And, it's like, how do we play them? How do we do different things? As a function of, Texas tried some new stuff. Some of it worked pretty darn well. And, they're just trying to come away with a win. So Texas is a good team. The thought that Ohio State was going to blow them out, I think it was nice. Maybe it was appealing to a lot of people. But I went into that thing thinking if they win that game by 7 points, it's 10, you feel really thinking good about it. And it was about how I thought, it would probably go. Maybe a late score separates it, but it was a one-score game and a 14-point swing, which led to the outcome.
Bobby, do you think Notre Dame, while not as talented as Texas on the defensive side, do you think they have the talent to try to limit Jeremiah Smith the way the way Texas was able to?
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think they're as good in the secondary as Texas, but they play different. Texas played a decent amount of zone throughout the year. They'll play some man, but Notre Dame has played really exclusively man. Now, Texas had success playing some more zone, cloud over the top, safety pulled over. I mean, they were going to take him away. Do they have the ability to do that? I think, yeah, anybody can take a receiver away. Are you going to allocate the resources to do that? And then what does the rest of your defense look like when you ultimately do it?
All right, Reed, tell the people what to do.
Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter.
Well, you looked at her like you were like, but you knew what to do. How did you know?
Every YouTube video I've ever watched. This is what they do. So.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Context clues.
Good. Did somebody tell you to tell the truth?
What? No.
Did you know?
Well, I mean, I watched them do it the other day.
Oh, okay. Well, then you know.
I mean, yeah, I just didn't. She kind of scared her. I didn't know what. I thought you were gonna do something. Or
okay. What's Pythagorean's theorem?
Which is that the triangle one?
I think that's a squared plus b squared equals 8. Am I right?
Yeah. A squared plus
What's
b
pi?
squared equals c. 3.14.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. Who's Mary Poppins? I'm just kidding. Don't worry about that. It's TexAgs Rewind. We'll see you next time.